Well, I know one wrestler that's not gonna be in the game or not be asked to be in the game. The person who's about to comment about AEW Fight Forever.
Anyway, Mr. Rightway was interviewing Tony Khan briefly, and he was asking about the future of Fight Forever. This is from WrestleZone, so I might as well just read it. And if we would see additional console releases in the future, Khan gave a very surprising answer. I think it was a great experience for us, which is surprising enough, losing 30 million or whatever it is with the development, Tony Khan said. And now it's going to be something for AEW is a multimedia conglomerate, a worldwide corporation. Definitely, it was a great first entry with AEW Fight Forever, and people can still play AEW Fight Forever all over the world, but they don't, because I'll get to the rest of the quote in a second. An average of 13 people at any one time on PC are playing it, and that is a 1 year high. I think eventually, absolutely, we'll be putting out AEW games into the world, but right now we're fully supporting the Fight Forever game, and I'm excited about AEW Fight Forever. There's still more wrestlers and exciting things happening with the game, and I think there's a lot of opportunities in the world of gaming, to your point. So there you go, Fight Forever. They're still going to be plowing money and resources into that game.
Well, I know one wrestler that's not gonna be in the game or not be asked to be in the game. The person who's about to comment about AEW Fight Forever. Um, it is like the game that won't die. It seems like they are fighting forever. I feel bad. I said this before. I feel bad for Kenny Omega. Watch our video game episode because we did go into more detail about that. Hey, throw up. Past episode. Yeah, that goes. But I feel bad because I know what it's like. I was a part of the development of Retromania Wrestling. I'm going to be part of the development of the sequel to Retromania Wrestling. There's a lot of heart and energy in the, it literally, tears, sweat, oh, now blood, maybe sometimes. But people sacrifice a lot of their time and energy, effort, and especially in this case, money to make this game. And Kenny Omega kind of foregone his wrestling career to focus more on this stuff behind the scenes because he wasn't really figured in. I mean, he was injured. He had a lot of stuff going on too, but he also put everything into this game. And people were thinking it was going to be like a mix between virtual pro wrestling, a little bit of Fire Pro, little arcadey type of game like WrestleFest. They were, in theory, going to mix a lot of stuff up, into it. But I'm looking at this going, why didn't it do well? It was long overdue. It was very much delayed. It was way over budget. And my question would be, like a legitimate question before you invest in another game, where did the money, time, and energy go? Like, why? You had the Ukes engine, I believe, correct? They used the old SmackDown versus Raw engine. Why? Or Virtual Pro Wrestling, one or the other. I'm sorry. They used an engine that had success in the past.
Yeah, they were trying to go for No Mercy. Essentially, was the advertising bump that they were saying at the time.
So, what, in my speculation, you spent somewhere around $20 million or more, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard numbers even higher than that because they were integral to the development of their own game, essentially.
But you didn't build the game engine from scratch, so you licensed the game engine right away. You are already.
I think they based it off an original game engine.
So it might have been a brand new engine, or
it could have been.
See, if it was a brand new engine, now you're talking about a lot of money. But it does not look like a brand new engine. It does not look like an Unreal type of engine.
Unreal Engine 4 it was made in.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
so
not 5. Yeah. But not 5.
No, it was on 4. So I think they were trying to emulate an older gaming engine in Unreal Engine 4, I guess, which is complicated in its own right.
So here's my I have a lot of questions, and these are honest questions from a gamer, somebody that likes to play video games and loves pro wrestling games that stand the test of time that we talked about on the video game episode. Games like WCW Revenge, No Mercy is very good. What else? Fire Pro is amazing. Decades later, they haven't upgraded the graphics. They haven't even upgraded the gameplay in any. But Fire Pro, I'll still play it on the Steam Deck. I got a PS4 to play Fire Pro Returns. I used to play Six Man Scramble on the Sega Saturn, Super Famicom. They used to have how can that game like I said, it might not have the graphics of WWE 2K, but it has heart and soul. And dare I say it, fighting spirit. So if games like that, you have games like, what are the other ones? SmackDown versus Raw are very good, although it became long in the tooth. Why can't you recapture that and you're spending $20 million or more on a game that is full of glitches? And see, that's the thing. If a game is so delayed and over budget, where did the money go if it did not fix the glitches? And then you spend money being, in my estimation, being petty, taking CM Punk off the cover, off the game. You had to start over a little bit off of that. Why would you do that? He's gone. But guess what? There's probably a bunch of people that would buy the game because Punk is in it, especially after Brawl Out. So you shot yourself in the foot and cost yourself money by just being petty that way.
Yeah, he was only gone for like 2 weeks, keep in mind. This was around the same drama of debuting Collision. And then he said he wasn't going to be there, and then he was.
So
like
he took him out of the game, and then he came back.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no answers. I have no answers. Be committed to the game. But also there comes a certain point of, why aren't you fixing what's already, if 13 people at a year-long high are playing the game, there's something wrong with the game. So why are you not trying to fix the game or saying we're cutting our losses and we're putting development into a new game?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's basically a dead brand. I wouldn't even call the second game Fight Forever. I'd call it something completely different. And do you know the other thing that I maybe it's just me, I always found it really off-putting that they had like 10 different wrestlers on the cover. Because that always screams to me a bit budget. You know what I mean? Like with the WWE 2K games, they had Cody Rhodes on the cover, his big face right there. It looks like a big game. And it looks like AAA, whereas I always thought even the cover just seems a bit budget. And then some of the criticisms that the game received at the time was, lacking in-depth, lacking choice. I think the road to the elite was really short. And as you said as well before, there was lots of pauses and crashes during gameplay, especially for the Nintendo Switch version as well. So, I mean, in your opinion, very quickly, what were the issues with the game? Are they all addressable for a second game?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on it because we're going to play the game. I played a very limited amount of time with it. I just saw it as, it seemed like a dated game. Now, you could say, well, Fire Pro's dated, No Mercy's dated, WCW versus NWO
Yeah, but No Mercy's dated because that's 20-odd years old. It was new when it came out, whereas Fire Pro is retro.
But why can you pick those up and play them and still have, all right, ESPN NFL 2K5. It's still better than Madden 25. Why? There's something they put into it, whether it be heart and soul, effort, whether they were true wrestling fans that understood it, whether Kenny Omega being the tip of the spear of the development, the consultant from wrestling, should have made it a great game. He loves wrestling. He loves video games. There has to be something that happened that we don't know. There has to be somebody that put their fingers in the cookie jar or the money went somewhere that it shouldn't have went. Why does it feel like an unfinished game 20 to $30 million later? And why do you keep putting money into it without day one things being fixed? No one told the story when it was free on PS Plus.
I'm just giving you here the last 30 days, 12.7 players, which is a massive game from November 2024 of 7.2, then 6 in October. This is average players playing on Steam. Then before that, 5.2, and it doesn't get really above 10. For example, July 2023 was 227. And it's just like
people, not thousand people.
That's peak players of the last 30 days was 38 at any one time on Steam. This is, but as I say, as a rolling average, 12.7, which is the highest it's been since December 2023.
You know what they could have done, and this would have been even if it was a good game. If they took the ESPN 2K5 like roadmap, Madden was $50, and people were like, "My God, video games were that cheap at one point." That was still a lot of money back then, 2004. 2K came in with a just an amazing game that just wiped the floor of Madden, even during the Madden years where Madden was good, and made it $20. You would have had the volume. For me, I would have been like $20. I'll pay $20 just to review it and just to talk about it on the show. I'm not gonna pay $60 on Steam, which is if you look on Steam, I don't know if they got a discount or a sale. I was gonna buy it, last time I checked, it was $60, and it had been out for a while.
Just looking now. In fact, AEW Fight Forever, it's going to be in pounds, I'm sorry. No, here we go, in dollars. $40 for the bare bones, and then the Elite Edition, $60.
Could I give you an example? Fire Pro Wrestling, with every expansion pack and the Fire Promoter mode, which is a really fun game, part of the game. Not visually great, no graph, but it is like booking shows and doing all that. Everything. And this means community creations. You can go on the Steam shop. You can download outfits and new wrestlers. Everything together, $61. The base game, right now, if it's not on sale, $30. Why would I buy that?
Okay, here's the last question, then we'll close down the show. Is obviously it's folly to keep pumping money into a game that's dead. You know, it's not all of a sudden going to get amazingly better. But now you've made, you know, in the Unreal Engine 4, you have based, you've based a play engine sort of on the Aki. You'd always say Aki, I would say AKI. You know, from a WCW, NWO, Revenge and No Mercy, etc., like that. Do you keep that, or do you throw that all away and try and make a second game, or do you basically shelve the idea of having a game for at least 5 years and try again when Fight Forever is a distant memory?
No, I think you have to try if you have the resources, the money, and you also have the roadmap to really make a good game. You have to do it sooner rather than later, because that will make people forget about this. If you wait another 3 years, it's just going to have more and more stink on it. Now, I'm looking at Unreal Engine 4 because I looked up, does Unreal Engine 4 charge a license fee? AI came back. Basically, students, educators, hobbyists, free to use. Companies making less than $1 million in annual gross revenue, free to use. Game developers and other users distributing applications that incorporate the engine pay a 5% royalty on gross revenue after the first $1 million in lifetime gross revenue. Other companies earning over $1 million in annual gross revenue need to buy a subscription seat, which costs $1,850 per user per year. I don't know if that's developer or people playing it. So basically, you and I could create a video game with the Unreal Engine 4, not 5, 4 for free, or the AEW is paying a 5% royalty on gross revenue after the first $1 million in lifetime gross revenue off of that. Do you think that's why they chose the engine?
Yeah. I mean, how much is Unreal 5? I mean, that's got to be far more expensive. So they probably stuck with 4.
It's the James Show. It's Stevie Richards. It's free for most people. Royalty based for gaming. 5. No, same thing. Same thing, except the subscription seats now over $1 million in annual gross revenue for companies like that is $1,850 per user per year. Custom terms. So you could have got a slightly better deal on 5 than 4, but 4 was cheaper, older, and maybe a little bit easier to use. I don't know about the coding. But why didn't you try to go for the Ukes engine? Because WWE beat the Ukes engine to death, and they were probably looking for another wrestling company to employ that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, THQ Nordic were the ones, and the developer was Ukes. So they tried to go with the old school people, but you know it didn't work out. So basically, I think the message here is just do a separate game. Call it something different. Make it look completely different. If you're going to use the base engine you've developed for it, just fine tune that, and then. You know, you never know. You might get better reviews for the next one.
You know what they should do? And just two things, two different ways to do it. You need to reach out to the Fire Pro people and have a completely different game. If you can take that, maybe people won't translate, but I'll tell you what, you might bring in some older fans like me that love Fire Pro and want to buy the game and maybe want to watch AEW. The other one would be like Retromania Wrestling embraced WrestleFest, very arcadey type game, and had success with that. So I don't know what the answer would be. You either got to go big and get like a really great video game engine. Maybe even I think Madden's moving on from the old engine they had. Maybe it's that the physics, tackling physics, the same thing as collision detection. Of course, you're gonna have the same Madden problems with scripted bumps and stuff. But I'm speaking as somebody who's not a game developer but a game lover, and I would love to see them. Dude, if they gave us $20 to $30 million to make a game, you and I can make a better game, guaranteed. And I do not blame Kenny. One last time, my heart goes out to Kenny Omega because he has a true love and passion for gaming. And that's the guy that's probably more mad than anybody else that this thing keeps like just going downhill.